Olúwa, láé Olúwa, làwa yóò máa yìn ọ́ o. We have come.
Yeah, hello, viewers. Good to see you again. Good afternoon, wonderful viewers. Welcome to Family Focus. And Family Focus is brought to you by Abokede Initiative and fully supported by Proclaimers Radio. And every Tuesday, we are here to bring to you issues that happen in families and how we can, deal with them amicably and bring a positive result. So I'm Patricia Abokede, your host, and I have with me here.
Olayinka Olorunbushige, the co-host of Eagles Voice.
Yeah. So what we have to discuss today is how parents can help their young adults or adolescents, transit to adulthood, especially in the area of relationship building. In Nigeria, I don't really like saying in Africa or there because I've not really done a proper study around the world. But I know in Nigeria we have this fear and this anxiety when it comes to our children building relationship. And similar to Valentine, a lot of things happens during Valentine. Unfortunately, we have done Valentine. I would have loved if we had done this before Valentine. To give parents tips on how we can help our children to build healthy relationship. So similar to Valentine, usually the Valentine period comes with a lot of anxiety and lots of things happen, things that can be avoided. And if parents, really mentor their children the right way towards it. So we are looking at how African parents can really help their children, young adults, adolescents, teenagers. How can we really help them build healthy relationships? So, Mr. Inka, how did you celebrate your Valentine?
How did I celebrate my Valentine? Coincidentally, a young lady I volunteer with had an event at the UI Botanical Garden.
Okay.
So she brought in a lot of scenes all over Ibadan. So I was there. I was one of the facilitators. So that was how I actually spent my Valentine, talking to them and hearing from them. That was the way I spent my
So, what
Valentine.
was the experience with the teen of this age? What are the wow experience
Hmm.
on the aha moments in the program?
Well, I think one of the things I noticed from that event was that number one, there's a very serious disparity between my generation and theirs. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, I think God really helped me because somebody made a comment that said, "Sir, I appreciate the way you still got across to them despite the difference." Of course, most of them were teenagers, but then what I noticed was, for instance, some terms I was familiar with, they are not familiar with. So I had to explain those terms. And at a point, I remember I asked a question. I just jokingly said, "Okay, ladies and gentlemen, of all the nonsense I said, what can you pick?" I sense there's a difference in our generational understanding. I said, "Sir, there's a difference, but
Okay.
then we can still connect." So one thing I see is that, of course, the terms have changed. The words we use then are not the same they use now. And then the way our mindset of the boy-girl relationship then,
Then,
it's like it has advanced in their own time.
talking about terminology, a lot
Yes.
of things that we just mentioned those days,
Yeah.
I didn't have any
Meaning
meaning.
to us.
Actually had meaning,
But
but
not serious.
life issue meaning,
Yeah.
not ironical, not absurd meaning. Things
Mhm.
like cock. What is a cock in your generation?
A cock in my generation, depending on the spelling,
Mm,
one was at the head,
okay,
and the other was the cock
of a
of a
bottle,
bottle. But it's not the
but
same
it's not
now.
the same
It's
now.
even terrible
If
now.
a young child, if a young person is telling you something about cock, it means something
Something totally
entirely
different from those two
different.
things. I mean,
Not even in relation with any of those two things you
yeah,
mentioned earlier.
at all.
So a lot of things have changed. A lot
Yeah.
of terminologies, a lot of swags, a lot of trending issues. So if a young in our own time, if somebody says boots, boots means shoe. Those days, the you raincoat boots or something, a rain boots or something.
But now,
But now it means
well,
something
and
something entirely
different,
different.
different. And sorry, something also interesting. You know, when you also look at those differences, it's like when we were teenagers, we were not mature. we were not as mature. No, it's not that we're not mature,
Mm.
but there's it's like there's this adrenaline rush in the average teenager today
Mm.
that was not the drive then. I won't say maturity.
I want to say that it's the trend.
Okay, maybe the word trend would
There
be.
was adrenaline rush then. Let's not deny
Yeah,
it.
there was then.
People
But
were
the
dating
trend
now.
was,
Those
yeah,
days, they were even in our mother's days. They were
yes.
dating, but then it wasn't as open as now.
Maybe what I should have said was that it's like to an extent what they should not really know as teenagers, they know now. It's no, like I think the word trend still comes in.
Maybe, maybe not that what they did not, what they
They are
are
not
not
supposed
supposed
to
to
know.
know. Maybe what they are supposed to know, but it was not taught then.
Okay,
Now, because of the trend,
exposure
exposure, social media,
to
accessibility
parents.
to social media, and so many things, tribal relationship, intra-racial relationship, a lot of things. These days now, when you are sitting here, I can reach out to the world. While here, I can communicate easily with anybody across the world. So then, one thing about human nature is that human nature have not changed.
Yeah,
The adrenaline has not changed. But the difference is that the exposure we had those days is not as much as now. For example, after my secondary school days, that was unfortunately for me, and maybe fortunately for me, when things are happening, when things are trending, I don't usually get to know. Funny enough, I don't trend. So things would have happened and gone
gone.
before I know. So I got to do a lot of things that my mates in secondary school were doing, dating each other, dating teachers, and all after my secondary school days. So it's not as if they were not happening then. They were happening then. But then it wasn't as pronounced as now.
Okay, I think
In
that's
our
well
own time too,
pronounced.
our parents were scared that we were getting too civilized compared with their own time. In their own time, if a guy wants to date a lady, he would go through a middleman. But in our own time,
You are going
we were
directly.
already going directly. But
Yeah.
now they were over this
They
time.
were going directly.
People now date online.
Yeah.
People do a lot of
Yes.
things that are not we were not used to. So one thing about all of this is that life is dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, and you said something about dating online.
Yes.
Can I make you laugh?
Okay.
I remember I dated somebody on phone. Now, when I say on phone, some years, almost 10 years ago, and we never saw ourselves. It's not even online. Those days, the phones were just touchlight,
Mm-hmm.
and we dated for months until I said, "I'm like, hey, boy, what are you doing?" Before I broke it, but we actually dated for that long, and we
Wow.
never saw. In fact, she was ready to travel down from Delta State to Ibadan to see me.
Wow.
It was then I said, "Sister, hold your
Wait.
peace. Don't come."
So
This
you
is
see,
from-
see
yeah,
that it's the rolling
yeah,
was still
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It was there, of course. Normally, there's a theory by him, Eric Erickson, the stage theory of Eric Erickson, that at a point in life, when you're about 18, when you're an adolescent period, that you are supposed to establish male-female relationship. Okay, so if this theory is over 100 years old, and or maybe not up to that, okay, and then somebody could sit down and theorize that, and what he wrote those days is still happening right now. So it's not that it's not that anything has changed about the male female relationship.
Yeah,
The feeling,
it's still there.
the synergy, the chemistry, the biology is still there.
Just feels
It's
close
just that the way it is being
the
done,
way it's been expressed,
expressed now, yes,
yeah, is higher
it's
than that.
advanced. It's
Exactly.
advanced.
Exactly.
But what is the role of parents in all of these things? What is the role of parents in all of these things? There's something about us parents in Africa. Okay, somebody shared I didn't even see it. I just saw it today. Somebody sent me a message, a post that we should discuss it on our group. That this madness about having a Valentine, she can't understand it. But I saw fear in that message. I saw a kind of an urgency in it. But one thing I want to say is that whether we like it or not, young boys, young girls will read.
Definitely.
They will relate.
Yeah.
They they will be attracted to each other. But parents has a role to play in all of these things. For you to have a healthy young adult, it will be awkward for you to tell me that your girl child at the age of 20 years never had a guy that toasted her. Let me use toast. I don't know what the language is. What they use now, Mr. Yinka. I need you are very close to
Woo.
Oh
W
yeah,
O
woo,
O woo.
woo.
Yeah. You see?
Yes.
Should be lost in
So
this area.
so now it will be very awkward for you to say 20-year-old young lady,
Well,
beautiful young lady who have not been wooed. Okay? It will be very, very awkward. So it's normal. Honestly, it is normal for young boys to woo a girl. It is normal for young girls to feel attracted to a boy. It is absolutely normal. It means
Definitely.
that they are human beings.
Yeah.
They have the hormones in their body. They have the adrenaline, the hydrocorticals and all of those things. You know, those things, dopamine, everything are really running in their system. They are complete human beings. But now parents have a lot of role to play in helping young adults to transit in a healthy way to this adulthood, and especially in building relationship. Now, when people don't learn how to build healthy relationship, we get the opposite. Now, normally, if for example, nobody has ever told me that it's normal for me to feel liked, it's normal for me to feel attracted to a guy. If when this is happening to me, I'll think something is wrong with me. For a Christian girl that grew up in a very Christian home, where nothing is discussed except the Bible and prayers, every other thing is a sin. Then this girl begin to feel honey. Let me use that language. Begin to feel honey. Sees a young guy that looks so handsome and catchy, and let me use their language,
Yeah.
romantic.
Yeah.
And then she begin to feel
Happening guy.
somehow, yes. And then she be like, hey, I'm sinning. Something is wrong with me. I'm crazy. Something I need deliverance. She may begin to think she's possessed
Yeah.
by a spirit, you know. So parents has a role to play in helping their young ones understand that they are normal. So how do you go about this?
I'm going to first say this. I think the first problem is the idea that children growing up never trusted their parents. What I mean by that is this: it's easier for me to relate with my parents at a higher level if at that lower stage we are discussing everything, like you said. Because last week actually, I run a mentorship program for some teenagers, and one of the things I found out is that when you, sir, those things you're telling us, we dare discuss them with mommy because there's a way mommy will take them. So I think the first thing is number one, parents need to ensure that growing up, I think there's a lot of things to unlearn as parents, a lot of mindset we need to destroy. The idea that, like you said, some things should not be discussed. Because if they are not discussed at home with mommy and dad, they'll be discussed with the uncle down the road and the auntie next door. So I think that's the first thing parents need to do.
Actually, in my upcoming book, Parenting
Okay.
on Purpose, I mentioned it that parenting is about you.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not about your child, honestly, because growing up, you've been a child before,
Definitely.
you've been a student before, you've had this rush, crush, whatever, before. You knew how you slipped off your leg over a guy. You knew how you would or you toasted a girl over a cup of tea or ice cream. You've done all of these things before. So parents pretend that it never happened.
Happened.
It's not true.
Mm.
So you having a child before, you have gone through
Being
all
a
of
child
this.
before.
Yes,
Yeah.
your child has never been a child before.
Yeah. But you've been there
You've
before
been
them.
there before them. So you know very well that these things will happen.
Mm.
But we pretend like it will never happen.
Then sorry to cut you. Another thing I noticed is some parents, maybe when they were young, they had some horrible memories. And because of those horrible memories, when their children begin to get to that stage, instead of being humble enough to tell their children their stories, once the children begin to manifest tendencies toward those horrible memories, it's like they want to rebuke them, they want to show them, you don't try that. But then The
You have
bottom line
not
is
told the child why you
you
are
you are
skeptical or
about those
you
things.
are anxious about it.
Those things.
That I discussed in my book, Breaking the Cycle of Child Abuse. A parent who had, been abused as a
As a
child,
child,
normally would be, would have this
protective,
fear, protective mind of
mindset,
fear
which is fear.
that my child should
Should
not be
not.
abused like I was.
Mm.
So, but the truth is that for you to break that abuse, you need to tell your child your story. My children recently, I told my daughter sometimes ago that I don't know, I was doing a program online, so I mentioned that I was abused as a child. But just like, mommy, were you abused as a child? I said, yes. What? Really? So I had to tell her my story. No, mommy, I never knew you were abused. Sorry about it. So my son too got to know recently. I said, mommy, were you really abused as a child? I said, yes. He said, really? I said, yes. Tell me about it. I told him about it. He said, oh, mom, that's why you're always fighting against child sexual abuse. I said, yes, because I don't want other children to be abused. So now, you don't break the cycle if you don't tell your children the story. A woman who got pregnant as a teenager and had a child out of wedlock or before wedlock never told that child the wrong steps she took. Never, really come down to that child and said, I have gone through this before. This is what happened to me before. I had this feeling. I met your father this way. This was what the steps I took that made me go this way. I had it before. You don't know, okay, funny enough, children will count it. If you got pregnant before marriage and they know your wedding date, you married in June and you gave birth in December, they'll count it backward and say, mommy was pregnant before marriage.
Exactly. Not
mommy was pregnant before she married. So if all the things we are trying to hide from children, they know. They will find out about it. So your duty as a parent is to help your children, grow up healthy. And then I also discussed in my book, Parenting on Purpose. When God made man, he made man in 5 different nature. Okay? As a human being, you have 5 different nature in you. The first is the physical, when God puts all the clay together. Put the clay together and the clay together to form a mold, a human being in mold. No life. Those assignments they used to give us in primary school to go and do a clay. So God made clay and then formed, but that's the physical thing. And I don't know how all the intestine and everything got there. God did that. Okay, then after that, Bible said that God put his breath into the man and man became a living being. So which make us a spiritual being. Without the breath of life in a man, you don't have relationship. You are not a living being first. Then being the fact that you have that breath that is of God in you, then you're a spiritual being. Then you must be connected with your God. Now, third is that man is a psychological being. When God has finished making all the things he has made, and he made man, and he gave man that duty to do, tend the garden. Then he said Adam should name all the animals. So whatever name animals gave to, name Adam gave to the animal, that was his name. Which means Adam did a lot of mental work. So it took Adam time to think. God knows how long it may take him maybe 10 years to even finish naming the animals. We don't know. Which is man is a psychological being. God, for Adam to, name animals, give a name to something, even a human being. When you have your baby, you want to think. Before the baby comes, what are we going to name the child? Begin to think. So, one is I've said physical, spiritual, psychological being. And okay, I can also use the psychological as the cognitive mind too. Okay, the mind, the cognitive mind. Then man is a social being. God said that, God saw. Now let me create that scenario. Now Adam goes out every day, sweep the garden, trim the flowers, and all of that, then settle down and begin to name all the animals, and then he gets tired and goes home. Nobody to support Adam. He will just be him. He will still have to go and pluck apple and tangerine and mangoes and banana to eat. So like cooking for himself. Then he gets home. Oh, I need to have a shower. He start going to the stream to fetch water to go and bathe. He was doing all of that all alone. And then nobody to even rub mind with that. Sky, it took me time to get a name for giraffe today. I was just looking at the long neck that, this thing, that thing. Okay, it looks like a. So let's give it a giraffe. Nobody to communicate with, and God saw that Adam was lonely. And He gave Adam a woman, Eve. Man, making man a social being. Yes, as much as Adam had all the animal with him, he couldn't interact with any of them like he wants. So man is a social being. And there also come that same chapter verse also said that he created a male and female, which means man is a sexual being. All this gender equality thing we have been talking about, gender, it started from Genesis. So man is a sexual being, and God proclaimed a command: be fruitful, multiply, fill the world and subdue it. Which means man must meet, they must have intercourse because there's no way you can produce a human being without sexual intercourse. But one thing about parents that we forget with all of the other parts of the nature of man, we throw it aside. We only focus on one or two. Maybe one, majorly one, the 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 cognitive aspect. My child must be an A student, you know. Now you see a child that goes to school from 9 till 4 p.m. After 4, start lesson, school lesson. After school lesson, goes home lesson. No time to relax. Then that same child, a lot of challenge. Then some people now add the spiritual part of it. But we forget that to know that that child is also a sexual being. And we don't educate our children sexually. So it will be very difficult for a child who had never had a conversation, what we were saying the other time. You have never had a conversation with your child about sexuality. For me now, as an adult or as a teenager or as an adolescent or as an adult, for you to come and be telling me, do you know it's not right for you to have a boyfriend right now? And I'm like, so?
You never said that when I was young.
No, this discussion would not even be interesting.
Yeah.
To be boring.
Sorry now.
We would not be. We're not in talking.
So why?
So what are you trying to say? And unfortunately, at that time, it's always too late because they've already established a relationship
Yeah.
most of the time. So parents need to educate their children from cradle, from when they are toddlers, begin to educate them on sexuality, what makes them different from what makes a boy different from a girl, why is a girl different from a boy. Now it's so important for us to do that. What is the organ of the body, the part of the body? What are the private parts and the public parts? What are they made for? What is their function individually? So parents need to establish this communication as early as possible, and it must be an ongoing communication. It's not when it's Valentine time. I say, don't go and do any rubbish with a boy, yo. If you dare it,
You're finished.
don't go and impregnate a girl, oh. If you impregnate a girl, that means no more school for
That's
you.
for you.
That is not even a way to communicate it.
At all.
That's not a way to communicate it. So how better can we help our children? How better can parents communicate this thing with their children?
Well, like we established earlier, number one, the conversation has to start early. They must build that trust. Then, of course, just like you've also said, it's important that you begin to talk to them about, tell them your own story, tell them where you're coming from. Another thing I also want to bring up, which I think I want to salute my mother for, is that unlike me, when I was young, I was not that person that brings people home. In fact, if you visit me as a young person, my family members will praise God. You can't brought a friend home.
Wow.
I never bring either guys or girls. If I bring you home, you must be a very, very special person.
Wow.
It was not me. Unlike my brother. So because my brother was like that, even my sister too, my parents knew their friends very early. And one thing I noticed that is I can speak for some of their friends till date. Now that they are married, they are still good friends. They are still very good friends. Of course, they met some of my friends too. But so another thing I want to bring out there is, as much as possible, parents should not be judgmental in wanting to know their children's friends. Who is my son moving with? Who are the friends of my daughters? Who do they? And when I say don't be judgmental, don't come in such a way as to tell them, don't know those friends. Become their mothers and fathers too. So that, because the thing is, if let's say I'm your son's friend and I come to your house and you treat me like your son, by all means, it will be difficult for me to want to lure your son into something terrible because I know something will always bring me back to your house.
You would even know the kind of person I am,
I
if
would
I can tolerate it or not.
Or not.
That can even make the boy, if he has a wrong intention, to
To
withdraw
change, exactly. It's either
or
you withdraw
change.
or change.
It's not that he withdraws or change because most of the time, those children that behave in, in an abnormal way, or have all this delinquency with them, is because their home is
It's
dysfunctional.
dysfunctional.
They
Yes.
have a loophole they are searching for. They are searching for security, searching for trust, searching for love that they have lacked in their home. So if you have a better family and your child's friend is coming to your home, you will notice that those children will rather want to stay in your house than to go back home. They will always want to come back.
Definitely.
So your attitude towards them, your relationship with your children and with
And their
them is
friends.
going to win them to you.
Exactly.
And you can even, for Christian parents, you can minister to them, you can minister Christ to them.
Yeah.
You can transform their life to
Definitely.
become better. So for you to now say, don't bring friends to my house, so don't bring any nonsense person to my house. Who is that boy? Who is that girl?
And you're suspecting everybody.
Then you are actually chasing your children, because what will happen eventually is that they will not bring those friends to your home
But
again,
they'll go and meet them.
but they will go and meet them.
Definitely.
They will hang out. So if, for example, those children are coming from a home where there's fights all the time, your children will go and witness all of that you have never shown them in your house. If there's a home where they lie all the time, your children will go and see all of that and learn from them. And even maybe learn to
Practice.
evil practices, cultism and other things. So it's important that beyond communicating sexuality to your children, you also welcome your children's friend home. In fact, you know make more attempts to know their friends.
Yeah, and something just came to mind. And I think one thing that makes all this possible, which is sadly very difficult for us African parents, is the fact that you become your children's friends. There's when we saying he's my dad, she's my mom, and they are my friends. When a friend, the Bible says a friend that sticks closer than a brother, that's the Holy Spirit. In other words, as a real Christian, I should be able to tell you with everything. Now, it's like that's why I say it's difficult because we are parents, African parents. But the mindset is okay, I'm your dad, I'm your mom, but then we're friends.
People are actually debating against this being your children's friend. People have been concepting that information. Being your children's friend does not mean you tolerate everything from your child. No, that is not what it means. For example, growing up till date, I only call my mom and say, "Hello, mom. How are you? How is daddy? Is everything fine? Okay, bye. Thank you." Because we don't
We're not
communicate.
friends
We're
like
not.
that.
I don't
We're
discuss.
just
I don't have
parents,
issues
family.
that I go and discuss with them. I don't have challenges that I want to discuss with them. I've already discussed my challenges with other people. So it's now difficult for me to say, "Oh, I want to call my mom. Oh, mommy, how are you? This." It doesn't work. So, but if you've been having this
Growing up.
in your house growing up, the children already, feel at home with you. They say, "Mom, you know what happened today in
Yes.
school? Hey, this, that." A parent once met me and said that my son talks too much. I said, "Really? So what does this say?" Say it tells me everything that happens in school. And I said, "What again?" Then he wants to know too much. I said, "That's a very fantastic boy. He's a good boy. It's just that you are not listening enough." And I taught her, "See, you need to listen. Let him tell you everything that happened in school, because he was even the one bringing it up. Not that you are saying, "Oh, tell me what happened in school. Tell me now. Tell me now." So for your child to be bringing information from school, it's fantastic. So take your time to listen. Sometimes my children tell me, I'll just say, "Oh yeah, I'm not listening." But I want them to know that mommy is with you.
Yeah.
Because if they are bringing the stories, they are bringing it home,
And
and you are not
there.
listening, a time will come when they will know that mommy will never listen.
And they won't tell you anything.
They will not tell you again, and you have lost them at that time.
Because they want to
So
tell
you must
somebody.
create time to listen to your children. When it is very inconvenient, let them know, "Baby girl, right now mommy is busy. Can you give me some time? Give me 30, and let it be 30 minutes." Or if you know the gist is not so serious, let them just be there with them. Don't play aloof. Don't do as if you are not there at all. Be listening and be doing what you are doing. But let them know you are with you. I mean, you are with them.
Yeah.
It's so important. So what have we said so far? Number one is that it's your responsibility as parents to to educate your children, to groom them from childhood into adulthood, especially in the aspects of relationship. It's not if this fear and anxiety we carry all over our head because our children are making friends, it's not right. They will make friends.
Yeah.
If you don't let them make friends when they are with you, they will make friends when they are not with you. And unfortunately, they will make the wrong friends. So let them make friends, but guide their relationship. Let your children bring their friend home. I mean,
Their
home,
friends home. Yeah.
their friends home. If they bring their friends home, they will bring their girlfriend, their boyfriend home.
Definitely.
And then you can assess them. And then you can always, for what I do is I always use every opportunity to talk about sexual relationship, sexual abuse, sexual this. I always use every opportunity. So when they come, start asking them, so how are you? Who are your friends? As in the friends apart from your friend's friend, your children's friend. I mean, apart from your children. Then you can know their sphere of influence. You can know what they do out of school. What do you do after school? What do you do if you're not going to church? What are the kind of books you read, the movies you watch, none of those things. Play along, try to come down to their level. If you can't come down to their level, they will also not come up to your level.
Definitely.
And then they will look for people who will come down to their level, and they may get it in the wrong
Oftentimes.
way. So you allow your children's friends to come home so that you can know them and also interact with them. Also, we also said that discuss sexuality from cradle. Don't
Yeah.
wait until your children are adults before you start talking to them about a marriage. You have never discussed anything about relationship. Marriage will be so it won't be
The
sweet
absurd.
in the ear. You're not telling them, a woman should do like this when she marries them. When did we start discussing something?
We had
when,
this one.
when did we discuss
Yeah.
when did she was okay, mommy, I know. So it's important for you to build relationship with your children. And parenting is not about your children, it's about
about
you.
you.
It's the kind of person you become in your parenting that makes you a successful parent. The kind of person you become in that process. Because before you became a parent, I knew you were always angry with your sister's children. You see those girls or they are very naughty, your cousin, I mean your niece and your nephews. They're always naughty, you can beat the hell out of them.
Like
But by the
this.
time you now became a parent, now like that, oh, it's not like that too. It's not more like that. Then you now know that they were not just naughty, that every child can be naughty. So it's the kind of person you become as a parent that makes you a successful parent. So, are we going on break? Okay. We're going on a short break right now. So, join us after the break.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus walked.
When Jesus walked,
Oh, when he walked.
when Jesus walked,
When Jesus walked.
when Jesus walked,
He washed my sins away.
oh happy day,
Oh, it's a happy day.
oh happy day,
Oh, happy day.
oh happy day,
Oh, happy day.
oh happy day,
When Jesus walked.
when Jesus walked,
Oh, when he walked.
when Jesus walked,
When Jesus walked.
when Jesus
He
walked,
washed my sins away.
oh happy day,
Oh, it's a happy day.
oh happy day. With God we
Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Every day. Oh, happy
brought to you by Abokede Initiative and fully supported by Christ Proclaimers Radio. So we're talking about how parents can help their children transit from childhood to adulthood, especially in relationship to, especially in the area of relationship building. With our focus is on this, just as Valentine celebration, and we've been looking at how parents, communicate relationship with children and all of that. So let's look at now in Nigeria, how do people young people now, what does love mean to young people, generally young people? Were you able to discuss that with your teenagers the last time you had that?
Oh yes, from at least from what I saw at that event, love, for instance, love to the average girl is attention, gifts, signals. Signals will be direct or indirect. That's love to the average girl. So if he's giving me attention, I know if he plays with my hair, if he touch my cheeks, and it's like he loves me. That's the impression about love. And for the guy, love to him is okay. Anytime I see her, I feel this adrenaline rush. It's sex. Sex is love to the average guy. Sex, and then okay, if I spend for her,
I
she
need to
should
get it
get
back.
something back. It's normal. So what I would say is that look, the two understanding is actually a wrong concept of love. Of love. Of course, under normal circumstances, sex should not even be the target at that
At
point,
that age.
at that stage. But even the definition of love for them at that stage is actually not it.
So what exactly is love?
Well, like I remember at that same program, I asked them the question. I asked them the question, "What is love?" Because they were giving me a lot of definitions, and a particular girl mentioned the word intense feeling, having an intense feeling for someone. Then somehow I corroborated that by saying, okay, having an intense feeling is someone that is actually that leads to a that is futuristic. Let me put it that way. Because now, looking at their definition of love, gifts and sex, gifts come and go. Sex, the so-called sexual relationship is just a few minutes, and it could be an eternal regret. But then when it comes to love, like I said, love is intense, so it's deep. It's not, I call the type of Valentine sex eat and run, chop and go. That's all. I mean, it's just that way. But when it comes to real love, it's like, okay, I have intense feeling for this person, not because of what I want to get now, but I'm looking at, okay, the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, are we going to enjoy what we're doing now? You understand? So, love for me, and unfortunately, many of them don't really see love.
Yeah.
In fact, they want to see love in that sense as old school. That's so it's like if I love her, it is now. If he loves me, he should let me know now. And we've had things like, like somebody said something at that program. There are times when, especially for we guys, we can be terrible. We love someone. We give the signals, but we never say a word. So she's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And at the end of the day, it's like, that's just me. There was nothing really. And again, it's like, with all those,
Signal.
so it's like, so
But really, honestly, I understand what you are saying. Sometimes men love, but they don't know how to express
express
it.
it, yes.
When the woman is expecting something,
Something.
come and tell me something. I remember when I got married years back. Well, so many guys. I was the youth coordinator in my church then. So so many guys now came to me and said, "Ah, so you married Brayinka? Ah, I never see you guys cutting, no. And I wanted to come and meet you, but I was scared." So, a lot of people met my husband, told them they were interested in me. They never came to me. A lot of people, came to me and told me same thing. There was a particular guy in my office then. He according to him, he said he was telling somebody to come and tell me he loves me. But he never came to me. So when he saw me married, he said, this is the one I would have married. He never for once tell me anything. So that's another another point
Well,
to it.
well, unlike me, I will never tell you anything. Once
Then
you're
you
married,
no
as
no
no, no,
before
I understand.
marriage.
I understand. If I was in their shoes
Mm.
and now you're married, I'm not the guy that will come and tell you I have feelings. I'll just let it go. Put the married mind. But honestly, so
But you could feel so disappointed that and I really like this girl.
yeah, definitely.
They felt disappointed that they would have come. They thought
Maybe we
this
should
should be
them.
too harsh, too hard to be to approach.
To approach. Yeah.
So it's important also for guys to express their feelings to girls. But now, when we're talking about people expressing their feelings, I saw something on Facebook sometime. One secondary school girl, boy, was proposing to a secondary school girl. So, at what, how do parents help their children understand all of these things? That this is the right time to
To do
propose,
this.
this is the right time to not propose, this is how you can express your feelings, and especially the men, I mean, fathers in the house. When nurturing children, mothers are always in the forefront of, you know, helping children in a lot of things,
I
even
always
though
say,
sometimes also they don't get it right when it comes to relationship.
yeah, yeah.
But now let's assume in a family where that are ready to learn, parents that are willing to understand, how should a father relate this? Because for a woman, I can't know how men feel. And it is wrong for a boy to think the only way I can express my love to a girl is by having sex with her.
Huh.
So how should a father relate love, I mean feelings,
To his
how to
boy.
express your feeling to your girl, the girl
Okay.
you like?
Helping his boy to express his feelings.
Yes.
I think it boils down first to what we said earlier. If at the onset, like I was actually going to mention, talk about a story just in passing. There's this impression in some of our African homes that daddies are tough.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, daddy has always been tough. So that is not the person I want to sit down and begin to discuss
And
these
that is
issues.
not tough.
They are. They're
Mm.
actually tough.
So let's
Okay.
continue.
So I think the issue is at the onset, daddies, as tough as they are, they should always, I think they need to learn to allow their children see the human side of them. Because we are talking about mothers now, daddies have their stories too. They
Mm-hmm.
have the mistakes growing up. So I
Some
think
are regretting
some are
inside. They
regretting.
never spoke
They
up.
so I think they have to break that mindset of, okay, my boy, let us talk. How are you? So that's why I said
Do you have
friendship.
feelings?
Do you have feelings?
Which the girl you like and things like that? Break that.
Antipath. The thing
Yes.
is, a father who has not been talking to the small boy
Mm.
will find it difficult to talk to the teenager boy about having feelings. That is why it has to, everything still points to, from the onset, I don't see my dad as just the daddy who is a weak,
So
but I see him as my friend.
we are running out of
Yeah,
time,
time.
so we have to go. But in what we have said in summary is that parents need to communicate relationship
With
with
their
their
children.
children. It shouldn't all be, this in this generation. This is not the time you shout and scream and be that
Send them out. Beat
tough
the hell out of
parent.
them.
No, this is the time you need to communicate more with your children. Communicate your fears, your regrets, and your failure. Not in a way that it will scare them. In a productive way. I was like this before, but this is what I have learned my lesson. You shouldn't go that way so that you don't also regret the way I regretted. So in a positive way, communicate your fears with your children. And fathers, we need fathers in the house. Honestly, there are lots of fathers that are not available. They are not there. They are just fathers by name. They are not visible. So we need fathers. Help your boys to understand what love exactly means. What is that feeling they are feeling? Do they have to just have sex? You don't use sex to express your manhood. No. The ability for you to express that you are a man, a real man, is for you to be able to control your emotion, control your feelings, and use it productively. So let's have Mr. Ayinkas. Do you have a spoken word for us today? Do you have something for us today?
If only they have listened to me, I probably would have a better tale to tell. Now, the bitter pill I have to live with for the rest of my life is a function of who they are. Now, they call me a bad boy, but the question is, it did not start with me. If they only told me their own tale when they were my age, I would be in this mess. But now my mess is a message for the next generation. The deed is done, the mistake is made. I would know if it can be corrected. But the bottom line is, if only they had told me that once upon a time they were like me, I wouldn't be in this shoe. Now curse me not, because you are the cause of my mess.
So parents, let's clean our mess by shining our children's attitude and life to the positive way. So thank you for joining us today. Family Focus with Patricia Abokede.
Olayinka Olorunbosebe, the Eagles
Yeah, this is
voice.
brought to you by Abokede Initiative and in partnership with Christ Proclaimer Radio. See you next week and have a wonderful evening and the rest of the week. God bless you. Bye.